You are audible, go on.
All right, so my name is Agin Elvis. I'll be sharing the feature selection bit. So our main problem here in this case was to determine, given a set of questions, are we able to predict if marriage will go on or are those people going to divorce? So what we needed to do first was figure out which are these questions that we need to ask this guy. So we did feature selection with 3 correlation methods and then compared the results. So as you can see from the image, we got, for all the 3 features that we used, we actually got the same number of questions going through all 3 of them. The next one was, all right, so what we needed to do as well was figure out the impact of each of these questions that we had identified. So one of the things we needed to do was to figure out, let's say for like a question like question 42, when I argue with my spouse, I only go out and maybe I never come back. So we are able to determine that that particular question increases odds of divorce by around 280 X factor. That was done for all the questions, and you can see the values over there on the table. Then for model building, what we did, we used logistic regression for this because it was a classification problem. And then what we did was read the data, normalize the data set, and then check the model for accuracy. So in matters accuracy, our model had an accuracy score of 94.7%. And then looking at our pseudo R squared, which is this value over here, we're able to get a pseudo R squared of 0.6. So normally a pseudo R squared, the higher it goes, the better. And then looking at our LLR p-value, which is basically our p-value in this case, we got a p-value of way lower than 0.05, which means of less than 5% of our data was actually being wrongly used. The other thing was now for our demo or our use case. So our model was built in a way that we could be able to ask a couple of these questions. Let me see if I can get that to happen. Can you see my screen? So if I run this code over here, it asks me to answer the following questions truthfully. So I'm assuming we are a couple and we've come for the counseling or anything. So if I'm to give values here, I'll just, due to time, I'll just add them randomly. So I'll say 3 for this value, 2 for this question, let's say 4. I'm using 0 to 4 because we're using a 5-point scale. 2 for this, 1 for, I'm just doing it randomly because of time, just so that we see the output.
Yeah, about time, you have 1 minute left.
Yeah, that's fine. So we see here, when you run the next line of code, we are being told that these people are likely to divorce with a model accuracy of 94.7%. So that's the end of our presentation, and we can actually back these claims by looking at Gottman, the guy from whom this data set was found. We realized that couples who actually gave answers such as question 7, we had strangers who share the same brother and family, where we found that it increased their odds of divorce by a factor of over 500,000. It actually makes sense because at that point you are basically not living as a marriage. You guys are just strangers. And the same could be verified across all the questions that we actually analyzed. That's the end of my presentation. I think I can take questions from the panel.
Thank you very much, Elvis. That was really quick and good. All right, over to you, Damilola.
Yes, so thank you. Very nice presentation. So in 3 sentences, 1 sentence per answer, can you give us the scope of this project? Can you give us the findings, what you're able to come up with, and your recommendation from your findings in 3 sentences?
All right. So in 3 seconds, the scope, we were supposed to determine either of 2 things. If I'm given a set of questions and their answers, I'll be able to figure out if these guys were divorced or happily married. The second case was, if you get a couple and let them answer these questions that we picked, we figure out if they're going to get stay married or get divorced. The other thing was, kindly repeat the other question.
Your findings and the recommendations from your findings.
Oh, right. So my findings were actually that whenever these questions were asked, and we can actually have a look at them. Let me just move this over to this other side. Sorry, let me move the presentation screen over this side. Our findings were we get data such as question number 7 here. For passengers or for couples that actually answered affirmatively to this question, where they said we are like strangers who share the same environment at home, we found that these guys were most of the time you'll get divorced. So if you're going to run this code again and then have question number 7 and say it, let's say, a level of 4, chances are that model will predict this as a case of divorce. Same is going to happen for question number 42. So we found there are particular questions that are actually major key factors when determining whether people will get divorced or stay married. And those were, depending on the factors over here, we could be able to determine that precisely.
Yes,
talking of recommendations. Yeah, so recommendations here for this case will be based on these questions we have over here. We can actually be able to recommend for a couple. If you guys want to get married, let's say, why don't you first come, use our model to run these questions, get the answers to these questions, then you can be able to figure out if you guys are a perfect fit for each other. So if, for example, you guys don't communicate, and that was one of the factors that Gottman actually raised in his research when he was providing this model. He had four horsemen of the apocalypse, and those things were criticism, defensiveness, contempt, and I'm forgetting the other, but if you look keenly, you can be able to see that anywhere where there was lack of communication, like in question number 53, question number 47, these are actually factors that were increasing the rates of divorce. So recommendation would be, come, have a look at the model, run it, see if you guys are actually compatible. If not, then we advise that you guys first go and figure out the modalities behind this, then you come back and divorce and actually work on your marriage, sorry.
Very well, I think you guys have done a very good job. Yeah, so that's all from me. Very good job.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, our judges. Thank you very much, Elvis. Thank you. All right, over to our next group, which was the previous group that was supposed to present. Oye Olawale Emmanuel and Kedia Adekemi.